Love Halloween, but not horror? Let me tell you about 10 spooky, not scary PS2 games. The PS2 isn't exactly known for first-person shooters, which I never understood. You have Cold Winter, 13, and even a great port of Deus Ex. I'm getting into a tangent, but related to that is Darkwatch, a fantastic FPS from High Moon Studios. High Moon has gone on to do port work for Call of Duty and Destiny. They know a thing or two about the first-person shooter genre. You play as Jericho Cross. Not the most original name, but the campiness is intentional and very charming. Anyway, Jericho is an outlaw turned vampire hunter. The plot's not The Last of Us, but it certainly kept me entertained all the way through. The setting is a mix of Western, Gothic, and steampunk. You'll have shootouts on steam-powered trains, shootouts in graveyards, and shootouts, well, basically everywhere that's within a Western setting. But you also get to play with a bunch of neat vampire powers. You can double jump, scare enemies, and steal souls for even more power juice. Throughout the game, you'll have good or evil choices to make, which will dictate which powers you get and change the ending. It's a simple binary, but they didn't need to put it in the game. I felt that way a lot while playing. They didn't really need to add this little extra feature or mechanic or attention to detail, but damn it, they did. And that's what makes Darkwatch so good. It also borrowed all the good parts of Halo. You can only carry 2 weapons, which feels right, and you got a health and shield bar. The game also looks gorgeous. Both the art design and the technical details make this one of the best looking PS2 games. It's aged super well and is still very playable today. So what's the bad news? Nothing. This game's awesome. Go play it. The most Halloween of Halloween games, The Nightmare Before Christmas is a nice little character action game. You play as Jack Skellington as he needs to defeat Oogie Boogie and take back Halloween Town. It's got its own unique story separate from the movie, and I'm pretty sure most of the voice actors are also from the movie. If not, it's exceptionally close. It's got some of the best sound in any PS2 game I've played. Not just the voices, but the sound effects too.
That's strange. The town's deserted.
Oh, and it's basically Devil May Cry if it were a musical. Defeat enemies, collect souls to upgrade Jack, and unlock new combos, while trying to get S rankings for all the levels. It's a nice little hidden gem that's well worth checking out.
I see you're pretty proud of all your booby-trapping schemes, but I can say you'll rule this town only in your dreams.
Maximo is not easy. It's a spiritual successor to Ghosts and Goblins. Just like those games, your life is represented by how armored you are. It's also a solid 3D action platformer with plenty of ghouls and ghosts. I mean, come on, just look at this atmosphere. You play as Maximo as he attempts to rescue the princess from a dark wizard. Helping you is Death, who will bring you back to life when you die. Duh. Which will happen a lot. It's an action platformer full of tough platforming, relentless enemies, and lots of traps. The way the level design toys with you reminds me a lot of Dark Souls. So if you like those games, funny enough, I'd recommend giving it a try. Just like the Souls games, you really commit to every action, so think before you act. There's also a sequel called Army of Zin, though I haven't tried it yet.
What? Not afraid of death?
There are worse things than death.
True, true.
The next game, Disgaea, is a strategy role-playing game in the same vein as my favorite game, Final Fantasy Tactics. It's also chock full of meta humor, silly characters, and addictive gameplay built around leveling up. The voice acting and writing complement each other quite a bit. I'm not huge into anime and that style of dialogue, you know what I'm talking about, but if you are, this game has some of the best. I was always happy to listen to the next conversation because the characters, writing, and VO is always fun. Anyway, you play as Laharl, Prince of the Underworld. Your dad's passed on to, I actually don't know. I mean, you're already in hell, so. Anyway, that's not important. What is important is the depth this game has. If you love numbers getting higher, then this game has the highest of numbers. It's a grindy Skinner box, which I admit sounds like it's a very negative thing, but I don't mean it like that. It's a lot of fun, and I kept wanting to play and leveling up just one more time. You'll either love or hate Disgaea. Those who love it though, really love it, to the point that Disgaea 7 just released this month. The series is still going strong even after 20 years. It's even got a demon senate, dude. And if they don't pass your proposals, you can use force. You are the bad guy after all.
So Prince, what do you think of this pretty squad I hired? They're my loyal servants. They'll do anything I say. Are you sure about that?
Ari doesn't have it easy. He missed the circus that was just in town, his sister is cursed to only speak in Pig Latin, and his shadow has been possessed by the Demon King, Stanley Hi-Hat Trinidad XVI, otherwise known as Stan. As someone who's never played Earthbound, Okage Shadow King is what I have to imagine it's kinda like. It's a very meta JRPG about helping the Demon King conquer the world. It's difficult to even describe your party members because I can't really do so with just a few words. Rosalind is a swordmaster who uses a rapier and has been hunting Stan ever since he turned her shadow pink and called her fat. Another party member is a mad scientist / ghostbuster who collects toenail clippings. Worth noting, no one wanted him to join your party, but he tags along anyway. Okage is weird, but it's not just weird. It backs it up with some genuinely good writing. One character can only speak in rhymes, another dreams of opening their own gym, and another is a pop idol who wants to marry the evil Demon King Stan. The combat's nothing amazing, but it's fun if you like JRPG gameplay. I don't want to spoil any more of it, but if it sounds interesting, especially if you like Earthbound or Mother or whatever that series is called, then I'm sure you'll love Okage. I also want to give a shout out to a YouTuber named Hoodie, as he's done an awesome video about this game. I think both the game and his YouTube channel are worth checking out. Shadow Hearts is another JRPG, and it's almost as weird. You play as Yuri, who's kind of a dick. Also, he hears a voice in his head that tells him to fight people. You end up rescuing a girl, and from there embark on a globe-trotting adventure. The game takes place in an alternate history 1913. Unlike a lot of JRPGs, this one has you traveling to many real-world locations. There's almost no RPGs I can think of that do this, so I think it's kind of worth checking out just for that. The Shadow Hearts series has 4 games, but I think it's best to start with this one. Though I admit, I don't really know much about this series other than I'm digging this game so far. I can follow the plot, so I'm assuming you don't need prior knowledge from the game's prequel. Shadow Hearts also uses timed button press mechanics for attacks, similar to games like Paper Mario and Costume Quest. I like it, it keeps me more involved. Before Persona, there was Shin Megami Tensei. I think SMT fans might be a little salty because Persona now outshines their classic JRPG series, but can you blame them? I played 2 hours of Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, and I still have no idea what's going on. The game's pretty out there. It's also very, very good. Like other Shin Megami games, including the previously mentioned Persona series, you collect monsters, demons, spirits, personas, I don't know what to call these things, and have them fight. You can also fuse them to create more powerful beings. So I might be getting the story wrong, but basically a cult has successfully ushered in the end of the world. Most people are dead, but you survive and are turned into a demon. But not really, and it's up to you to fight the devil. But again, not really. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on, but it is a lot of fun. Next up is Persona 3. If you haven't played a Persona game, I highly recommend at least giving 3, 4, or 5 a try. An offshoot series of the Shin Megami Tensei games, they're really unlike anything else out there. Sure, they're JRPGs, but they're not like JRPGs, if that makes sense. The gameplay's split between dungeon crawling and exploring social links in the real world. It's a hyper-addictive gameplay loop, and it helps that it's one of the best written game series. Finishing a Persona game will leave a hole in your heart as you realize the adventure's over. 3's my favorite, and it's also got a great spooky theme going on. You play as a new transfer student in a fictional part of Tokyo. A strange illness is befalling people around the city, and it's up to you, your new powers, and a secret investigative society to get to the bottom of it. I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time spoiling it, so just go play it. As for me, I'm waiting for the remake. It looks awesome.
Let's head into Tartarus and try out our new equipment.
Yeah, nothing beats getting actual combat experience.
The Suffering is a midway game through and through. Gory, bloody, graphic, and I'm running out of adjectives here. You play as Torque, a death row inmate who doesn't remember killing his family, but he probably did, let's be real, as his prison is overtaken by all manner of supernatural monsters. It's an action horror game that's probably the scariest on this list. Like the SOCOM series, you can also play the entire game in first or third person, which I think is really cool. You'll spend most of your time running into other survivors and fighting creatures that are all super unique. They're based on different execution methods such as hanging, firing squad, and lethal injection. The game has a really solid identity, and because of that, you get to explore the prison's traumatic past.
Will you shut the fuck up? you baby-raping, sodomizing sack of shit!
The Thing is easily one of the best movie games. It takes place after the movie and serves as a direct sequel, but does its own story. It's like the second movie, but, you know, good. You play as a Special Forces sergeant as you and your team investigate the base to find out what happened. Like the movie, you can't really trust anyone. It reminds me of the first Kane and Lynch game. At the end of those multiplayer levels, everyone would have a chance to betray each other and make off with the loot instead of splitting it. It's a really neat mechanic I wish games toyed around with more. But yeah, The Thing, it's a great hidden gem.
I'm gonna hide this tape when I'm finished. If none of us make it, at least there'll be some kind of a record. Nothing else I can do. Just wait. R.J. McCready, helicopter pilot, U.S. Outpost North 31.
Vampire Knight makes for game number 11. I wanted to add it as a bonus game because it's a fun light gun shooter. If you don't have a light gun, that's fine, works great without it, and it can be completed in under 2 hours. There's not really a whole lot to it, but it has some of the best voice acting on the PS2. And I mean that ironically in that it's terrible and hilarious.
Don't worry, this gun knows who to destroy.
What a coincidence. I know too. And it's you!
It holds a special place in my heart. I really wanted to cover games from all over the genre spectrum. JRPGs, action games, and even a light gun shooter. I hope you found at least one game to check out. Let me know in the comments which is your favorite. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. I'm close to being monetized and would super appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching and have a great spooky Halloween.
What do you know? What I have lost? The pain I have suffered!
This game should have won an Emmy.